a wild twist in Buffalo. Jordan Poyer is back. Let that sink in for a second. The guy who once symbolized the Bills' culture shift, the guy who helped build the identity of this defense alongside Micah Hyde and under Sean McDermott's vision. He's wearing the red, white, and blue again. But this time, it's not about starting every week. This time, it's different. He's on the practice squad. Now, for some fans, that news might spark a bit of confusion or even disappointment. But let's peel this back. Jordan Poyer isn't the same player he was a few seasons ago. No one is denying that. Last year in Miami, it didn't go well. That much is clear. The Dolphins brought him in hoping to capture some of the fire, the grit, the leadership that made him a staple in Buffalo for so many years. But instead of lighting that spark in South Florida, it felt like he fizzled out. Now he's 34 years old, back in Buffalo, but in a support role. And I know some folks out there are questioning the move, asking why the Bills would bring back someone who didn't give his all down in Miami. Let's address that, because it's a fair question. Poyer even admitted it. He wasn't as invested in Miami as he was in Buffalo. He said it. And honestly, that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. If a team signs you to be a leader, a tone setter, a difference maker, and you mail it in, that's tough to swallow. But here's the thing. People make mistakes. Veterans have pride, egos, legacies. Sometimes they chase a destination thinking it's going to be the right move, only to realize it wasn't what they thought. Poyer got his shot in Miami. It didn't click. Now he's back where he belongs, at least emotionally. But he's not back to be the guy he once was. He's here to be a mentor, a sounding board, a stabilizing force for a group of young safeties trying to find their way in the league. Let's talk about Cole Bishop. The expectations are high for the second-year safety. He's talented, no doubt about it. But the leap from potential to production is steep, and it's not always a straight path. Having someone like Jordan Poyer in the building, guiding him, helping him understand the nuances of the game, sharing the details that never show up on tape, that matters. That kind of wisdom is priceless, especially in a league that gets faster and more complex by the week. And it's not just Bishop. Rookie Jordan Hancock is in the mix too. These are formative years for young players, and the veterans they learn from play a huge role in shaping who they become. Poyer's presence gives them a living, breathing example of what it looks like to be a professional. That's huge. Flip it to the defensive line. The return of Jordan Phillips also can't be ignored. Another familiar face back in the building, back in the mix, and again, not to dominate snaps, but to guide, mentor, and if needed, step in. Phillips already pointed out the physical similarities between himself and rookie Deone Walker. He said it straight up, we're dangerously similar. That's not just a cute quote, that's a powerful insight. A guy like Walker can look at Phillips and see his potential path. That kind of mentorship doesn't just happen, it has to be intentional. And with both these vets back on the practice squad, it's clear the Bills are being intentional about developing the next generation. Now let's zoom out a bit. Brandon Beane met with the media and emphasized the point, this isn't just about nostalgia or familiarity. This is about culture, about leadership, about ensuring that the standard that's been built in Buffalo over the last few years doesn't fade away as new faces enter the locker room. It's about handing the torch, not dropping it. Still, there's been some chatter, some hesitation among the fan base. Why bring back players who couldn't cut it elsewhere? Why rely on guys who seem to be past their prime? But let's be real here. This is not about counting on Poyer or Phillips to be full-time starters. This is about depth, about having a plan B that isn't off the street, but from within the walls of your own building. It's about insurance with upside. And there's more to it than just talent. It's about trust. Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane know exactly who they're bringing in. These guys understand the system. They understand the expectations. They're not here to disrupt. They're here to support. That kind of seamless integration is rare. It matters. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Jordan Poyer's stint in Miami left a bad taste. You can love a player's past and still question their decisions. He wanted to be in Miami for 2 straight off seasons. He finally got his wish. But when he got there, it didn't look like the guy we saw in Buffalo. He even admitted that he was still paying attention to what was going on up north. That's not exactly the kind of commitment you want from a veteran addition. So yeah, Part of me is frustrated. You get the deal you wanted, you land in the city you pursued, and then you don't deliver. That's not the Poyer we came to respect in Buffalo. But I also understand this game. It's emotional. It's physical. It's full of uncertainty. And now that he's back, the question isn't what he did in Miami. It's what he can do for Buffalo today. He's not on the 53-man roster. He's not being penciled in to start. He's on the practice squad. There's humility in that. It says he knows what time it is. He's not here to relive glory days. He's here to contribute in a new way. And that's valuable. Micah Hyde took a similar path last year, but his situation felt different. He was never expected to play again, just to be around and offer wisdom. Poyer's situation? It feels a little more fluid. If injuries pile up, if a young player stumbles, there's a scenario where Jordan Poyer is activated. That's not the ideal plan. The hope is Cole Bishop rises to the occasion. But if not, it's comforting to know you've got a veteran in the building who can step in. We've seen this before. In the NFL, the margin between chaos and continuity is thin. Having experienced players ready to plug in, especially guys who already know the system, can be the difference between surviving a rough patch and spiraling out. Brandon Beane also gave what he called an update on Tre'Davious White. Though to be honest, it wasn't much of an update. He's still rehabbing. They're taking it day by day, not ruling him out for week 1. The usual vague coach speak that doesn't offer much clarity. Same goes for Christian Benford. Neither practiced this week. And that raises the question, who's actually going to start at cornerback when the season opens? Dane Jackson? He's back on the practice squad. Dorian Strong? He got the start in the final preseason game and was the first corner pulled, which usually means the staff sees him as a potential starter. Jamarcus Ingram? He was on the roster last year and spelled strong in that last preseason game. Honestly, at this point, you could convince me it'll be any of those 3. There's that much uncertainty. And it's not just about who's on the field. It's about who's ready. Week 1 is creeping up fast, and we still have no real clarity at one of the most important positions on the defense. If Tre'Davious White isn't ready, and if Benford's injury is anything more than minor, there could be some real trouble on the outside. Let's hope that's not the case. Brandon Beane also announced that Maxwell Hairston and Tyler Griebel will start the year on injured reserve. Griebel's still in concussion protocol, which is concerning considering he had been doing non-contact drills on the field. That sounds like a stash situation, but it also makes you wonder if there's more going on than we know. As for Hairston, he hasn't played in over a month. Beane said they want to give him more time to get calloused up. Translation, he's not ready, but they do expect him back after the bye. That means missing at least 4 games and then potentially activating him during the 21-day window. The bye week is week 7, so the math checks out. That's probably when we'll see him again. So here we are, less than 2 weeks from kickoff, and the Bills are turning to a mix of youth and experience to hold things together. The practice squad is more than just a placeholder. It's a strategic piece of the roster. It's a way to keep depth close and development ongoing. And this year, it's filled with familiar names and fresh faces alike. Jordan Poyer, Jordan Phillips, Dane Jackson, they're back. Not because they're the future, but because they still have something to offer. Leadership, accountability, knowledge. That matters, especially when you're trying to bring along young guys like Cole Bishop, Jordan Hancock, TJ Sanders, and Dion Walker. This is not just a roster, it's a locker room. And every name in that room, every voice in that huddle, plays a role in shaping what this team becomes. Whether or not Jordan Poyer ever steps onto the field this season, his presence already means something. And speaking of presence, let's talk about the rest of the practice squad, because there's a lot more going on here than just bringing back a few familiar vets. The Bills have made calculated moves to build a support group that offers versatility, experience, and just enough upside to serve as either immediate help or long-term investment. Take Shane Buechele, for example. He's not the flashiest name, and he's probably not pushing anyone for a roster spot. But let's be honest, that's not what you want from your practice squad quarterback anyway. You want someone who can replicate whatever quarterback you're facing that week. Someone who's sharp, disciplined, and can process plays quickly. That's Buechele. He's run scout teams before, he's been in tough systems, and the chemistry he's built with Josh Allen gives him a leg up. That Josh Allen's caddy label, It's not a joke. That's the role, and it's an important one. Now, how about Frank Gore Jr.? What a preseason he had. The guy put up over 100 yards both on the ground and through the air. That's production. That's showing up when the lights are on. And yet, here he is back on the practice squad. And you know what? That's not a bad thing. That's an opportunity. If the Bills' backfield deals with any injuries, Frank Gore Jr. is going to be ready to roll. He's shown he belongs in the league. The practice squad just happens to be his starting point. And it might not be long before that changes. Tight end. Just one made it. Kelechi Osemele, known as Kele, among teammates, locked in that spot. Now, it might seem surprising to keep only one, especially with Zach Davidson gaining some fans during preseason, thanks in part to his hard-knock screen time and even punting in a game. But let's face it, Davidson's been chasing the dream for years and hasn't broken through. Sometimes you need to turn the page. The Bills clearly felt like Kele offered more upside, more reliability. And it's hard to argue with that when you look at how things played out in the reps. At wide receiver, we've got Stephen Gosnell and Christian Wilkerson making the cut. And if you've been paying attention, really paying attention, then Wilkerson's name shouldn't surprise you. He was consistently making plays during camp and preseason. Strong hands, physical route running, and a real knack for getting open. That's what you want in a depth option. He may not be in the top 6, but he's next in line. And having that guy ready to elevate is a luxury most teams don't get. Now let's move to the trenches because this is where things really start to get interesting. Kendrick Green and Dan Feeney, both back, both versatile, both experienced. That's big. This isn't just practice squad fodder. These are players with real snaps in the league who can step in if someone on the active roster goes down. In fact, there are teams right now, real NFL rosters, that would benefit from having either of these guys in their starting depth chart. The Bills? They got both on standby. That's how you build a playoff-ready roster. You don't just hope for health. You prepare for attrition. Then you've got Travis Clayton. This guy is one of the most fascinating stories on the team. Coming from England through the International Pathway Program, he was playing rugby not long ago. Now he's suited up in the preseason and holding his own as an offensive lineman. That doesn't happen by accident. That's about drive, commitment, coaching, and raw athleticism. Clayton gets a special exemption, so he doesn't count toward the normal practice squad limit. That means the Bills get to keep a project player with massive upside without sacrificing a spot for someone else. That's a win all around. That's what this whole phase of the season is about, taking your shot, finding your spot, whether it's the active roster, the practice squad, or just enough of a flash to earn another call later on. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Whispers have been circulating through the corridors of the Buffalo Bills facilities, growing louder by the hour as the team grapples with what insiders are calling a crisis within the roster. Sources close to the organization suggest that head coach Sean McDermott, known for his usually measured demeanor, has made a decisive statement that has sent shockwaves throughout the league. He reportedly no longer wants Shane Buechele on the team. Buechele, once considered a crucial piece of the Bills' offensive puzzle, appears to have fallen out of favor, though the exact reasons remain shrouded in mystery. Speculation is rampant among analysts and fans alike, with some pointing to internal disagreements over strategy, while others hint at personality clashes that may have disrupted locker room harmony. The ripple effect of this potential move is immense, considering Buechele's role as a backup quarterback who, when called upon, has demonstrated poise under pressure and a knack for executing under high-stakes conditions. Observers suggest that removing a player of his caliber could signal a shift in the team's approach, potentially opening the door for younger, less experienced talent or prompting a mid-season trade that might reshape not only the Bills' roster but also the dynamics of their entire division. The uncertainty has left fans anxious, analysts debating, and rival teams watching closely, anticipating potential openings to exploit this internal turbulence for competitive gain. The atmosphere around the team is reportedly tense, with whispers of closed-door meetings and urgent discussions aimed at damage control. The speculation surrounding Shane Buechele's uncertain future with the Bills has dominated social media chatter, sports talk radio, and the headlines of national sport publications. According to insiders, the decision to distance Buechele may have been brewing for weeks, if not months, fueled by a combination of on-field performance metrics, leadership concerns, and strategic misalignment with McDermott's vision for the team. Some suggest that Buechele's style of play, which has been described as both meticulous and cautious, may have conflicted with the coach's increasingly aggressive offensive schemes. Meanwhile, teammates are said to be quietly divided, with some expressing frustration at what they perceive as an unnecessary rift and others siding with the coach's authority, prioritizing long-term success over short-term familiarity. Reports hint at a series of closed-door film sessions and private team meetings that reportedly failed to resolve the tension, leaving management to consider more drastic measures. The scenario has ignited rumors about potential trades, with several teams allegedly inquiring discreetly about Buechele's availability, eyeing him as a potential game-changer. Betting odds and fantasy leagues have already felt the ripple effects, with insiders noting that Buechele's reduced role or potential exit could significantly alter projections for both the Bills and other AFC contenders. Amid all this speculation, McDermott's public statements have been unusually sparse, fueling more conjecture than clarity. Every press conference and media interaction is being dissected for nuance, each phrase weighed for hidden meanings about Buechele's fate and the team's direction. Industry insiders suggest that the repercussions of McDermott's rumored stance against keeping Buechele could extend far beyond the immediate roster, potentially affecting the team's drafting strategy and long-term planning. According to multiple sources, executives within the Bills organization are reportedly weighing options ranging from a quiet trade to a more dramatic restructuring of the quarterback depth chart. The speculation is that this tension may influence not just the immediate lineup, but also the perception of the franchise among free agents, who may now see Buffalo as a place where internal disputes can escalate quickly, impacting morale and stability. Analysts are pointing to historical parallels in the league, where high-profile tensions between coaches and key backup players have led to unexpected trades that shook up entire divisions. Fans are reportedly divided, with some expressing outrage at the potential loss of a talented and reliable quarterback, while others are cautiously supportive of McDermott's assertive approach, trusting his judgment to safeguard the team's competitive edge. Behind the scenes, the coaching staff is allegedly engaged in meticulous planning sessions, reviewing not only game strategies, but also the psychological impacts of player departures, locker room cohesion, and team morale. The swirling rumors have prompted both official statements and leaked insights, creating a sense of drama more akin to a high-stakes saga than a routine NFL season, drawing comparisons to previous instances where off-field decisions reverberated onto the field. Observers suggest that, regardless of the ultimate outcome for Buechele, the situation underscores the delicate balance between individual talent, team chemistry, and leadership authority, which can often determine the fate of franchises in unexpected ways. Industry observers are also speculating about the potential domino effect on Buffalo's offensive strategy if Buechele is indeed sidelined or traded. Sources suggest that McDermott's decision might force the team to rely more heavily on younger, less proven quarterbacks, or to accelerate the development of practice squad members, a shift that could fundamentally alter play calling, offensive tempo, and even recruitment priorities for upcoming seasons. Some analysts point to historical data indicating that teams undergoing mid-season quarterback shakeups often experience a period of inconsistency, marked by erratic offensive performances and disrupted team dynamics. The ripple effect could also extend to player morale across the roster, with teammates adjusting to both the absence of a familiar leader and the introduction of new dynamics under a heightened pressure environment. Fans are reportedly engaging in heated debates online, with social media platforms flooded with conflicting opinions, ranging from anger at perceived mismanagement to cautious optimism about potential improvements in team cohesion. Rumors have also suggested that rival teams are monitoring the situation closely, assessing whether Buffalo's internal upheaval presents opportunities to gain an edge in head-to-head matchups, division standings, and playoff positioning. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.